friends? Welcome back to Pop Talk. I'm your host, Motown, and today we're going to be talking about reboots and remakes with our amazing panel. So let's get it started. Let's revamp this bad boy. Charlie, Orchid, I need you to talk to me about reboots and remakes right now.
Okay, that's a lot of pressure, but
Okay,
we're talking about reboots?
and remakes.
Okay, so when everything gets, rebooted, started over, sort of when you restart a video game console and everything that's on the screen is different than last time?
That's a perspective. So you can basically just start all over with a video game character like Mario. Has he been rebooted over the years?
Maybe too many times,
Or
but
the art style could be different, or a different story,
yeah, honestly, the technology too.
and the technology.
Every time something changes, it's a forced reboot. The Mario series, like you said, it used to be side-scrolling, and then they threw in at us Mario 64. There's been a lot of really solid reboots that come just from technology developing. Probably the same thing about other markets too. Anime's changed.
Anime has changed tremendously. They're remaking. They remade Full Metal Alchemist twice or once, and then they added sequels to the movies or sequels to the show, which were all great, except for the last movie, which we won't talk about. They remade Sailor Moon, and that was god awful.
So what justifies a soft reboot?
Maybe something that eases the watcher into watching something that has already been made.
Oh, so when something doesn't completely change, it's familiar, but has new elements that definitely redefine the genre.
Maybe Jurassic Park could be a soft reboot?
Jurassic World would definitely be a
the
pretty
newest.
good
The newest
soft
one.
reboot.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, you could say that the constantly updated, superhero movies. We're on maybe the 400th reboot of Spider-Man at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Batman keeps coming back. Batman began and then he began again. So it's repetitive at this point, but at the same time, there's potential for success and failure every time.
I can be honest with you. Initially, I wasn't really game on reboots. I'm like, leave it alone. Don't touch it. This is my childhood. But I think when they tap into the source material correctly, material that was never touched before, and they add it into the reboot, I can embrace it and accept it. What are your takes on it? Are you do you
definitely embrace reboots, just because it pulls a little bit of your nostalgia from your childhood, and obviously, so long as they do it right, definitely there's room for to embrace it. However, there's been many times where they just slaughter it, and then you're like, why would they do that? Or shows that you hear are being remade, and it gives you more anxiety than nostalgia to want to watch these.
It's dangerous. In video games, it's dangerous to reboot, at least from a consumer's perspective. The fact is, when we walk in and there's a brand new game on the shelf, it doesn't cost us a $12 movie ticket or a pirated Netflix, blah, 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 whatever. Whatever you're doing, you invest in. That's $60 on a game that it's garbage, or it's great. Yes, it can be really exciting when you're like, this is the best game I've ever played. It's everything I used to love with everything that I never knew I would love. But I don't want to spend $60 on a game that's horrible and then own it and sell it back to GameStop for $12.
Or you could always just wait a few weeks until the price goes down.
Yeah, but then I don't get to be the first person playing it.
Oh, you gotta be the first person playing it. That's the reason we get the game, to be one of the first.
At least you get to feel something. If it's disappointment, you're feeling something.
Yeah. Any reboots that you're looking forward to?
Death Note, the live action, is definitely, I'm looking forward to it. It's a good story. I'll definitely watch that when it comes out. Netflix has been doing some great stuff lately.
So Charlie, what are a few games that have been rebooted in the gaming world?
Wow, there's a series of games that started playing with this idea. I'd argue it started with two different ideas. One was that technology developed so quickly, so we had games like Star Fox being rebooted into the real Star Fox that we know, the one that was developed in full from Nintendo 64. Mario rebooted itself from a platformer, side-scrolling, into Mario 64. They did that a lot because they were trying to point out that their game was cool now because it was on a new system that they were really marketing and pushing. And you could argue that like Ocarina of Time was the same thing, same concept, bringing it from this like really basic system to like, hey, now we have the 64, maybe with an expansion pack that allows you to do really cool things in a more open world sense. And I mean, if you want to talk open world, games are being rebooted now. Fallout 3 got such a different response than Fallout 2 because it went from this like sort of Dungeons and Dragons-esque like crawler in a dungeon, like figure out what you're doing, to like, hey, you're out in the world, time is passing, you're going through all of these challenges. As opposed to the technological games that come out that have like the advancement that is basically forced upon them because you have to stay relevant. There's a number of games that come out that are fascinating for they're re-envisioning the franchise. Say like Resident Evil. A lot of people weren't very happy with that. Some people came to the game and they liked it for once because they weren't so afraid or they weren't so challenged by it. People felt like they could actually play it. Some might say that like Mario Kart in its own way, while a spin-off, kind of works as a reboot because it's still like Mario trying to fight his way through, but that's mostly a multiplayer game. That's a different, it's a rebranding, maybe more than a reboot. And then you have the number of games that come out that are, the God of War series has recently had like a number of pushes to remake from like the original just like kind of hack and slash experience into like a little more open, little more varied quest approach. You have the very beautiful, in my opinion, continuing reboot series of Pokemon. Fact is, I believe that Pokemon, while basically the same technology we had when it was like 5 buttons on a giant brick and no colors, well, green and black were the colors, and maybe 50 shades of green and black. It was really great that you could sit there and like you could train through those games, but it's the same game, rebooted, in my opinion, soft reboot maybe, because you're a new child in a new region catching new Pokemon, and it's like, guys, it's the same game, right? But new types change things. The modern types are going absolutely wild at this point. Rome Total War, one of my favorite games ever, got a reboot as Rome Total War 2, not to mention all of the medieval and all of these other games that came out. Shogun was a good game, Shogun 2 was a good game. But they decided to change the game. Those are reboots.
Very insightful, Charlie. But in the anime world, Orchid, can you share some of the reboots that's going on there?
Yeah, absolutely. So Full Metal Alchemist was remade once, and beautifully at that. We have Sailor Moon, which was remade in order to follow the manga a little bit more thoroughly. However, left a lot more to be desired. Then we have shows like Death Note, which have been remade multiple times. There was, from the manga came the movies, and then from the movies came the show, and now from the show is coming another Netflix original live action show. And then there's, to touch on Charlie's subject, Pokemon is being remade from a show onto a live action movie.
Wait, what?
Really?
Yeah. Pokemon, they have bought the rights for Pokemon and now are making a live action movie of it.
Okay, cool.
Mind blown.
So, you know, how much ever money they can get, right?
Yeah.
From whatever source they can get.
They're gonna get all the Pokemon in one movie?
No, it's probably gonna start from like Red and Blue.
Oh, I'm down for that.
So all this talk about reboots, and then often I hear the word remake, and I get confused. I'm not quite sure if it's the same thing or we're just using different words to sound cool. What's the difference?
We're trying to remake America great again, but what we should be doing is rebooting America great again.
Rebooting America great again.
Let's
Reboot America.
That's right.
So I feel like a remake is more of a remastering, just adding more depth into it, whereas a reboot is retelling remaking the storyline, changing the storyline, reimagining the storyline.
There's probably a big difference between every other market and video gaming is that when you have a remake, usually it's just like a skin pack, if you will, better graphics thrown onto an old system. kind of like I mentioned earlier, expansion packs. The fact is, certain games were kind of, in their own way, remade when you plugged in an expansion pack, because, say, the AI got smarter, say the graphics were more intensive. Like, that's a remake to me. When you take the same game and port it from the N64 to a 3DS, in the case of, like, Mario 64 and Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask 2, like, they came to the 3DS, but they're the same game. Functionally, like, graphically, everything has been, like, tweaked wherever it can. But you're really just taking a game from a big box and putting it in a little box. That's a remake.
And to clear this all up, the recent Ghostbusters 2016 remake or reboot, which one?
I want to say it's a remake just because it's the same general concept. It's not a sequel. It's not a spin-off. It is the same general storyline.
Gotcha. Charlie, remake, reboot?
Rebooted series, remade story, central character, concept. They're retelling. They haven't changed much besides, like, I mean, technologies are functionally the same. It's a new era, new ghosts, sort of. It's hard to say.
So it's a remake and a reboot? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying from the exterior, outside of the movie, I probably want to call it a reboot, because when you're outside of the movie, you're talking about, like, you've taken the franchise and you've re-envisioned it and you've made this, like, you're selling a new product entirely. When you get into the product, it's very fundamentally the same. If you think about the psyche of the three characters and the way they interact, it doesn't matter who the Three Stooges are. They're the same Three Stooges making their way through the world, trying to figure out how to fight or bust ghosts in this case. So it's a remake. It's the same idea.
So what are your don't touch reboots and remakes on your list? I'm talking about the list that you keep your movies, your shows to heart, and you know it's perfect and no studio should touch it.
I think that's a very difficult question because if you really keep it right here in your heart, you want to see it again and again and remade, so long as it's done correctly. Now, it's a very dangerous, touchy subject because then it could potentially fail. I can tell you things like Dragon Ball need to end, but we've had enough. It's about time, things like that. And how many letters in the alphabet can there be?
When's Gohan gonna Mega Evolve?
I'm done with it. There's always another extra evolution. I'm done with it. So I guess that would be my answer, which isn't necessarily a remake, but it's definitely something I'm ready for it to end.
It's interesting. So, like, your goal is to kill a show that needs to stop.
It needs
instead
to
of
stop.
Like keeping. At this point, I would say that video games have elements that are always desiring reboot. In the end, I get 15 to 45 hours of replayability, sometimes longer if it's a really well-made game, and I don't mind that. I can just reboot the game myself. I can turn it off and turn it on again and start over a new character, define it a different way because there's so many deep algorithms for me to play in. So replayability is always a reboot. But for a series or some franchise that I don't want touched just because I'm happy with it, League of Legends. I play that game probably too much. And I resisted it for a long time, but when I got into it after playing Dota and Dota 2, I was like, well, yeah, of course, when are they going to make League of Legends 2? I realized it doesn't need to happen. The game's already well made, and it can be updated. It can be continually improved upon, and because it's like a free-to-play experience, all of my time and investment is there.
The thing about games is that they don't necessarily have to be remade or rebooted. They can just add sequels to it.
Yeah, that's entirely true, but in some cases I don't even need the sequel. I'm talking League of Legends in its current form could exist for 100 years easily as long as they kept adding characters, balancing, and improving graphics and control when possible.
Well, if you ask me, in terms of video games, I'd like to see Mario in a completely different atmosphere. No mushrooms, no stars, maybe.
Mario on the beach? Oh wait, they did that.
No,
Mario live action.
They did that. You know, Mario with with a rifle or a shotgun, pocket knife, in the streets of LA.
The cartoon.
I don't know.
Keep him real. Come on, lead pipe.
A lead pipe, I like to see Mario get down and punching. And in terms of movies, Any movie with Denzel in it shouldn't be remade, starting with Malcolm X.
Well, what if they
Don't
remake
touch
it
that.
with Denzel in it?
No, you just don't touch it. All right, and then maybe the Lord of the Rings. You can't touch that either.
I agree.
Yeah. Thank you guys. I really enjoyed that conversation. Very enlightening. I think I know the difference between rebooting, remakes, and revamping, and all that stuff.
Makes one of us.
There is a difference, right? I have some thoughts. Join me.
What you can't say to our face?
You know, the whole concept of rebooting media is starting to make sense to me. But what about real life? You see this shirt right here? It first belonged to my brother. I rebooted it. Today's lunch was last week's dinner. I rebooted it. That's right. And I'm about to reboot this show right now by adding in a guest. Yep, the director of this show. Remake that. We have a special guest!
It's me!
Yes!
Hi.
Alexandra
Jensen.
Jensen.
It's my last name.
That's your last name.
Yeah. So, I don't know. How was the first segment?
This,
Oh, wait! I directed it. It went great, by the way. It went great. You guys nailed it.
Yes.
I have to take a little credit, too.
Yeah, even with all
Just kidding.
the hand movement behind the scenes, we still managed to get it going.
All the angry glares
Yes.
and the
Uh.
so very interesting discussion, but I gotta say, I think you guys are wrong about Ghostbusters. It's totally a reboot. It's not the same story. It's not even the same characters. Like, yeah, you have 4 people that sort of follow the same trajectory, but I gotta disagree. It's a complete reboot. I think the only thing that's really similar about it is that there's ghosts. They have to save the city, and Slimer.
Proton packs.
Yeah, but I mean,
Slimer.
the same story. You know, there's got to be other movies like that where someone has to save New York from disaster.
It's tough because it's kind of like how like Romeo and Juliet's gonna get told, and you're gonna be like, oh, it's that story again. Like it's not that the elements haven't changed, and now there's not new things around it. It's sort of like they're ghosts. Whatever's inside of each of the characters is very similar. Like they took the same model and said, now we're gonna reinvent it.
But I would say, yeah. So a reboot, I think, is closer to a reinvention of something. I would say if they decided to remake it, then they wouldn't have changed anything about it. Really, they just would have done it the same way again. That's my opinion. I digress, though. Oh.
So, what are your favorite reboots, remakes, or dislikes?
Your favorite dislikes?
What are my favorite dislikes? I don't know. Actually, it's funny. I don't feel the same way that a lot of people do about reboots or remakes. I don't really get angry at them. A lot of people, especially with Ghostbusters, you guys all know that story, about how it makes a lot of people feel like their childhood was taken away from them, and it's like, your childhood's fine, it's still there, it's in here. So I guess I don't really have an opinion on what I don't want to see remade or what I do. I don't know, because I guess I'm a glass half empty kind of girl. It's gonna suck anyway, probably.
You forced us to answer the
Are
hardest
there any
question.
that you're looking forward to? There's got to be something that you're looking forward to, maybe.
I'm angry at you.
I know, right? You could have answered however you wanted. I was just
right.
standing there grimacing.
You're right.
Told us to answer it.
Made it.
I'm fired.
Can't fire yourself.
What I do want to see remade, what would that be? I don't know. Everything, all the stuff that I really like, I feel is perfect. And if anything, I would like to see a sequel to things, but I don't feel the need to remake. Kind of like you were saying, like some stuff just goes on too long, and you're like, I don't want that to happen to some of my favorite stuff.
Gotcha.
So I'm like, I'm good.
Well,
just don't reboot anything. But if you do, I'm cool with it.
It's not fair that you're not giving us a straight answer, so I'm gonna flip it in another way. Are there any wines that you want rebooted or remade? Yeah,
Oh, any wines that I want to reboot? Yeah, I had a great Pinot Noir last night. It was full-bodied. I'd like to reboot that.
Reboot or re-experience?
Just like Kleber.
Oh, I don't want to like throw it up. I just kind of want to go back in time. Or maybe just have another glass tonight.
Yeah, see, because I would never want to like reboot it, because to me that would be like after you put the cork in, you leave it out overnight. It's like, no, let's just like let's uncork a new one.
What would be a sequel in that sense then?
Buying a new bottle?
Another bottle? Oh, what else? What else should we talk about? Can we talk about how hot it is in here, by the way? I don't know, don't like zoom in on me, you know, because it's not pretty. Anyway, so in terms of the reboot stuff, it's really, you brought up Pokemon, and I found that to be really interesting. Some of your viewers who may know me know how much I love Pokemon, and if they don't, well, we'll put it in the lower third. So
that's a lot of the screen. Yeah. Part of the screen is just I
love Pokemon. It's true though, I really do. Like, you don't even know. It's okay. Yeah, I know you know. I know. But you're kind of right though. Like I've had every game since they first came out, and it's the same game. Why do I keep doing that? I don't know. It's the same game, you guys.
You have to name yourself at the beginning, so you must be rebooting.
No, I name myself the same thing every
150 Pokemon.
Ash?
No, that's true. You're right. So some of my favorite Pokemon are in subsequent generations of the game. But and this is something you guys didn't touch on. Also talking about reboots, which is what Pokemon reminded me of. And we also talk about Ghostbusters too. Is this sort of like where gender bending. This gender bending trend falls into the reboot/remake realm now, because it's becoming very popular. Like we have a female Thor now in the comics. We have Black Spider-Man. I know that's not a gender thing, but it's like a reimagining of the same character, which is sort of like a reboot.
Or a media bending. Because Pokemon is now a game, a manga, a TV show, a movie, and and the list goes on and on.
You're right. It's never gonna stop, which is fine.
Whereas movies can be remade into games and
and Monopoly.
Cartoons and Monopoly.
The future's now. But what I was gonna say is now in the new Pokemon games, I guess they have to find a way to like keep it fresh. Some of the original Pokemon, like Meowth and Cubone and Raichu and several others, they gave them new types. Right? Like you heard about this, I'm sure. So like Vulpix is an ice type in the new region. So I guess that falls into the gender bending, type bending.
Making an Executor.
An Executor.
So
you got that tall neck.
So when are we gonna get like Pikachus that are like Aries or maybe Scorpios? Like when is that gonna? I'm holding out for a Cancer. Is it going to affect the egg system? Like,
wow. I mean, you know, they have to keep trying something different. So maybe eventually, maybe there'll be like some sort of spin-off reboot game where the Pokemon are trying to catch us.
Oh, or like survival horror game where there's these like evil creatures on two legs that chase you around and try to capture you to put you into slave labor for the rest of your life.
I would watch that.
Yeah.
Oh, this reminds me actually of the question you were trying to ask me, and you got mad because I didn't answer. So, okay, I do not want to see a live-action version of Pokemon for two reasons. Number one, I want to direct it. Number two, and this is what happened to me and Pokemon Go. All of a sudden, everybody likes Pokemon now. Like, I feel a little like I'm OG, you know what I mean? Like, I feel a little like, oh, okay, well, you know, step back. Like, I'm the original fan.
Yes,
you know,
and no reason to stop it from happening.
Yes,
like, all the other original fans want to see these things. They just don't want everybody else to like them.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then it's cool.
Yeah, it's cool to be a nerd, and if Pokemon's becoming cool, what am I? Who am I?
You're losing yourself?
I don't really know who I am anymore.
You need to remake yourself.
That's great. Reboot, remake, reimagine. We're not going to do the gender bending thing, though. This is fun. We should just do this all day, every day.
Don't we do this all day, every day?
You guys didn't invite me?
Oh. We had wine, too.
Oh.
Yeah, but
rude.
Most of the occasions lack direction.
Yeah. Since we don't have a director pointing at us
That's a
behind
joke.
the cameras right now, we're just going to keep going.
No one's going to call a cut. Yeah. Like,
Yeah, that's
Uh-oh,
great.
I didn't think this
That's
through.
why it's
I
never
probably, I
ending.
should have appointed somebody, I guess. Hear that? That's the bane of my existence. That's awful.
Sounds like a spaceship.
Yeah, wait, where are we?
Area 51, right? It took me a while to get
That's my spaceship.
Yeah, the 405. No, I don't think you take the 405 to get to Area 51.
That's no spaceship.
Comment below if you know which highway runs through Area 51.
I've learned something.
Yeah.
If we want to get passion out of you, we have to talk about Pokemon.
Yeah. Well,
Or
or wine.
Or wine.
You guys know me so well. Yeah, you're right. I think there's like one other thing too that I'm drawing a blank on. There's one. Oh,
Directing?
dinosaurs. No,
Dinosaur.
it's dinosaurs actually.
Ah.
But
The
that's a
other
discussion
D1.
for another time. But dinosaurs are really popular right now, so maybe next episode.
Hey, we're a remake of dinosaurs.
We're
Small size.
yeah,
animal.
we're sequels, right?
Sequels.
I
So
guess.
what's your take on the remake
Evolution.
of Jurassic World, Jurassic Park, all of that?
Oh, I didn't like Jurassic World. I really
did.
didn't.
It
I
was
was
cute.
sad. I enjoyed watching it. I was like, ooh, I was like,
Yeah.
like a total dork. I was like, ooh, Parasaurolophus. Oh, that's a pteranodon.
I feel
you
like
know?
Jurassic Land was just, more heart. Jurassic World was just money grabbing and
Super
empire building.
I
Jurassic World.
feel like they
Yeah.
should have named the big dinosaur Dinosaurus Rex.
I'm surprised no one's done that.
Dinosaurus.
Wouldn't
Rex.
that not have been the best name for him?
I'm so
Dinosaurus
surprised
Don't
that
the
no one's done
names
that.
have like species related? Like, I mean, I know sometimes they're named after who discovers them, but don't they name them because there's like a Latin meaning to the word?
Sometimes you get to pick. You get to pick. If you discover the dinosaur, you get to pick its name.
So
And it was a mixture of two or three different dinosaurs, right?
Yeah,
Dinosaurus Rex.
yeah. That's
So if I find a rock, I can name it?
Final
You
thoughts.
can
Right now, starting with Orchid. Final thoughts.
thoughts.
You can rename things in that new game called No Man's Sky. See, so you can now play things in that game and rename them as however you want.
And that's the last thought you ever want to have?
That's a lot of pressure.
Sorry, I put a
That
hit
is
out
a
on you
lot
guys.
of pressure.
We're not here.
I feel like this episode is stressing me out.
Sorry, it's not a threat. I didn't mean anything by it. I take it
Charlie, final thoughts.
back.
Remaking, rebooting.
I don't think we ever truly reboot anything. I honestly think it's the same story, and we're just telling the next chapter of it.
It's kind of deep.
That's deeper than
Deep.
mine.
Yeah.
Really deep.
I don't know.
Intentionally evasive.
I like it. That's fine. Yeah, I did the same thing.
I know, it's
So-
great, right? You learned that from bottles of wine.
I learned so much. I don't even want to know the things that I've learned from bottles of wine.
Alex, final
Yes.
thoughts.
So if we're rebooting something or remaking something or making a sequel to something and you're like super unhappy about it and you like have to go on the internet and like, on the trailer and be like, this looks awful, my childhood's ruined.
Those are supposed
Newsflash.
to be boys.
Yeah, newsflash, your childhood's not ruined. Like, that's impossible. That would be like a time loop, right? Like if something happening now ruined your childhood,
Jumper.
like there are more important things going on than like a Ghostbusters reboot.
A dream
Just saying.
within a dream.
That's my final thought. So take what you will from that. But
I'm gonna take it, and I'm gonna gather it with some extra thoughts.
bye. This was fun.
Why does he leave us?
All the time.
He left us.
Do I
think
smell?
He likes us.
Not yet.
Oh yeah, I did.
The PopTalk family and I are committed to making sure that our audience is educated about the pop culture universe. But in today's episode, we could have used a little help. Which remakes and reboots you think did well and which ones you think could have been better? Why don't you leave a comment, subscribe, and engage with us as we remake, revamp, reboot, and redo things better next time.
Subscribe. Did you hear me? I said subscribe.